Alright, guys, Dieter here, Beer Idiot, still streaming from Brussels. Welcome. He started brewing with home brewing. He now brews for a Japanese brewery and he started multiple businesses in Hong Kong and he's not yet finished doing his thing. Welcome, Christopher Wong. How are you doing?
Hi guys, hey, good, good. It's a Friday in Hong Kong, so yeah, warming up here, drinking some beers online, and then hopefully drink some beers offline afterwards.
Can you guys already go out?
We can, but although most people try to stay home as much as possible just to stay safe. There's also rules that where you cannot have more than four people drinking on the same table. So we try to drink as much as possible. In fact, we actually just launched the first 6 cans delivery cold chain in Hong Kong today for one of our new beers. So really excited about that. When I said drink offline earlier, I was referring to myself going down to the park and drink by myself on a chair, lonely.
Oh, okay, okay. Tell me a bit, Christopher. You now live in Hong Kong. You lived there your entire life, I assume.
I was actually born in the United States. I was born in Texas. However, I did move to Hong Kong when I was 4 years old, so I don't really remember much about that part. And I spent most of my life in Hong Kong. And actually, you mentioned a Japanese brewery. Yes, so I started my professional brewing career with a Japanese brewery. They opened a satellite brewery in Hong Kong. So I trained in the Japan brewery, and then later on I helped them contract brew their beers in Hong Kong. However, this arrangement actually has stopped already. So right now I'm actually brewing for two brands in Hong Kong, which is not Japanese. One is Carbon Brews. The other one is Heroes Beer Co. So both in Hong Kong as well. Yeah, that's a funny owl right there. Hey, are you still here? Hello?
Yes, I'm back. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, there you
Problem with the tech.
are.
So they are now brewed in Hong Kong, or
No, it was a satellite brewery. So it was originally a brewery outside of Japan in Hong Kong. The main brewery is in Japan actually. And our main production would go into the mainland China market. This arrangement started in 2015. However, the arrangement recently stopped in sometime in 2019. I forgot the dates already. But over the time, in the same production brewery in Hong Kong, which is now called Carbon Brews. I'll show you that if you haven't seen it. It's a very new brand right there, Carbon Brews. Not many people know about it. So in that brewery, now we make a local brand for Hong Kong people, and instead of having a import foreign brand that's brewed for the people here. And at the same time, we also started myself another brand called Heroes Beer Co. And we also make it at that same brewery. So the brewers are very lucky at that brewery. They get to brew many different brands and different types of beer throughout the day.
so it's what we call in Europe here more like a gypsy brewer, somebody who rents a brewery to brew their own brand there.
Correct, but it's a very lazy gypsy. So Heroes Beer Co. It's my own brand, but
Yeah,
I only gypsy brew at this brewery, which I helped set up. So yeah, it's like a gypsy that never leaves his house and
yeah.
brews at the same place. It's like
Cool,
that.
cool. Uh, Tell me, you started with
Yeah.
home brewing, I assume?
Yes, correct. So many years ago, 2013, we started a homebrew supply store. It's called HK Brewcraft. If you guys travel to Hong Kong, it's a very interesting small store that's on the fourth floor in Central. Above us and below us directly are massage parlors that definitely do give out happy endings. And we are located there. But we were the first and still the only brick and mortar homebrew supply stores there. We started back then, we thought that, hey, when you open a homebrew store, there's nothing to lose. You buy malt, you buy beer for a bottle shop, and at the end of the day, customers show up, you can use it all for yourself, right? So it's definitely a sure win game. So, but starting that homebrew store did what was a quite amazing journey for us, because that was also the start of the whole Hong Kong craft beer movement. So in 2012, 2013, that's where all the famous Hong Kong breweries now, where the owners quit their daytime banking job or lawyer job, and then decide to go start a craft brewery. And so at that time, instead of starting a craft brewery, we started a homebrew store, which also helped push a lot of the education and also the beer judge program, the BJCP program and all that.
Yes.
So it was a very interesting time that we all got to know each other back then, and now it's still a very tight and close circle of people in the industry, whether you're a brewer or you're a retail store or a tap room, or if you're in education. Everyone just kind of knows each other, and we got to see each other grow in the last 7 years. Yeah, quite amazing. If it wasn't for the virus, actually, 3 days ago would have been the 7th anniversary. So now we're gonna push it back a few months and celebrate the 7.2 anniversary of HK Brewcraft. Hopefully next month. We have a bunch of home brewers. They made a lot of cool beers ready to share with everyone in Hong Kong.
You also do home brewing contests in Hong Kong?
Yeah, we did actually. That's done by a homebrew association in Hong Kong, which is not part of the company, but it's a group of people who are interested in running the homebrew scene in Hong Kong. I think we've done it personally, I was involved for 2 years. So it was actually also from 2012, 2013. In the first few years, it was interesting because all the winners, the first year's winner is Rohit Dugar, who actually started Young Master Brewery. So one of the largest craft beer breweries in Hong Kong. They've also been to Europe. They've been to Micular Beer Celebration, if you guys have been out there. And then the second year's owner is these enthusiasts who eventually made a beer with Heroes and released their beer. Third year's winner now works for Young Master, changed their job. Fourth year's winner now also eventually joined one of the brewers. So all the winners every year eventually change their jobs. And now I think if we're continuing to do it, I think it would have been like the eighth or I forgot, maybe seventh homebrew competition. This year, I think there might be some delays due to the whole situation where everyone's just staying at home and just selfishly drinking their beers without sharing with people. So I guess that's what's going to happen. But yeah, we do have a group of homebrewers in Hong Kong. It's interesting in the sense that when people get really good, they become professional. And Hong Kong is also a city where a lot of people come and go. A lot of expatriates that come to Hong Kong, work for a couple of years, and then they go. So the group of home brewers is very small in Hong Kong. I would say active ones maybe 50, around 50 of them. But every year there's new people coming in and new people going, come and go. I think the highest record of entries we had for the competition, though, maybe it was 4 years ago. I think we had 120 entries. That was a big year. People were entering from mainland China, from Singapore, and from Taiwan. But then, yeah, as the time goes by, some years you have more home brewers, some years you have less. Personally, I've been not involved for the last few years because I've been too busy at work putting out fires. So I don't get to do as much as I like to. But hopefully, I get to go to some more someday.
Did you saw also the beer styles evolve in Hong Kong, in the home brewing and in the professional brewing? Does it follow the American and European trends, or totally not?
Yeah, I think so. It definitely does follow the both American and European trends. Hong Kong is a very international city. It is if you ask me what does a Hong Kong person look like, I scratch my head because they can look like me, they can look like you, they could be all over the place. People come here to make money and then they leave this place afterwards. So there's people from all over all over the world. But I grew up here, so you can say some kind of Hong Kong people look like this. The flavors. And trends do happen very quickly though. So they follow I would say in the craft beer, they follow the American trend definitely for sure, and also the European trend. But everything is fast forwarded, maybe like 5 times in Hong Kong. So for example, like the New England IPA or the hazy IPAs, that took off, a few years ago in the States, and then it stayed around. In Hong Kong, it just took like maybe 12 months, and people went for it, and then it already became a norm. It already became something that, if I tried that before, what's the next new thing? So we catch on to a trend maybe a year or two later, but then the trend cycle is very, very short, very short. So people are constantly looking for the new thing here. And also because of the culture, the mixed culture here, because nobody's really from here, there is a very wide acceptance of different flavors. So from stinky tofu to to steak, or just to your boring microwave food, everything is very well received by people here, and we eat all kinds of crazy things. So that makes it very easy for the beer brewer. I think the first 2 to 3 breweries who started craft brewing in Hong Kong, they had to follow your standard, starting a brewery 101. We will make 4 to 5 core products. We have the Pilsner, the Pale Ale, and blah, blah, blah. However, because of the fast-moving pace and people being very well receptive to new flavors here, all the other breweries started off pretty much doing the opposite and just brewing whatever they like to make. And they skipped the whole kind of basic textbook 101 steps when the brewers get to design the recipe. I mean, right here, I'm actually drinking one that is made with I can't figure out the camera. It's a Goza. It's a Michelada Goza, because one of the heroes, they challenged us to make a beer with a chili sauce in Hong Kong. It's 100% natural, and it's a 3rd generation chili sauce. However, it does have a garlicky taste to it, so I was scratching my head, how the fuck do I make a garlicky chili beer? So we just made a Michelada Goza with blood oranges in there. So for the people in Hong Kong, they would have never heard what is a Michelada. They would also not know what a Goza is, but they know the chili sauce because they grew up with it. For the German guys in Hong Kong, they would know what a Goza is. They will never hear of the Michelada or the chili sauce in Hong Kong. And the Mexican guys would know what a Michelada is. However, they learn about Goza and chili. So to me, that's a really good example of what's really going on in Hong Kong every day. You just meet new people, and you never know what your customer likes.
Is it like typical Hong Kong spices or herbs that are used that are typically from that region, or it's so international it doesn't count?
Hong Kong is the southern part of China, so the cuisines are very similar to Southern Chinese cuisine, I would say. That's the traditional food. However, I'm 35 years old, but even the time that I've grown up in Hong Kong, it's already been a very international city. So when you talk about Cantonese food, it's already a mix of different cultures. At least when I was born, if you talk to my dad, they would have restaurants that serves very traditional Cantonese food. And interesting thing about Hong Kong is that everything here is imported.
Yes.
Right. So there's nothing that is really, or there are stuff, minor things like a roselle, hibiscus type. We grow that in Hong Kong. We have 2 honey farms, maybe 3. I don't know, very little. And then we have vegetables that people grow just as a hobby, but not for making a living. So everything is imported here in Hong Kong. So if there's anything that's like typically a flavor from Hong Kong, it's already a mix of Western culture. If you read any travel books from Hong Kong, say what are the iconic food items from Hong Kong, the first thing you might see is egg tart. An egg tart is pretty much a Western style custard tart, but a small size.
Okay.
But it's a Hong Kong's it's adapted to be Hong Kong's iconic food. Or like the egg waffle. Again, it's a waffle, but then
Yeah.
made into a special shape. So there's a lot of these things, and to me, that is the real Hong Kong from my eyes. Being for a 35-year-old guy, it's already a mix of different cultures. So when brewers brew here, everyone knows that if you're a brewer in Hong Kong, you're using water, which 80% is actually imported, and then you have so not even the water. Hops are from the U.S., from Europe. Malts are from the U.S. or Europe, mostly Europe, and the yeast again U.S. or Europe. So yeah, other than the sweat of the brewer that sometimes get dripped into the brew house when they look into it, everything is imported, and that's kind of the Hong Kong mentality. It's just made by a person from Hong Kong for the people in Hong Kong, and with that really creative culture here. I think that's the most iconic part of Hong Kong, I would say.
If we zoom out a little bit around Hong Kong, is there a lot of exchange with the craft sector, let's say in mainland China, Shenzhen, or with other neighbor countries? Is there a lot of influences and trading going on in that? Is there also a craft scene in
Yes.
Shenzhen, mainland?
Yeah, so definitely Hong Kong is built, other than being a financial center or real estate, which is all just kind of, to me, fake money. The real reason why Hong Kong is even Hong Kong today is because it used to be a trading port,
Yes.
right? The English guys, they came in here and then they wanted this place to be the gate of the mainland China. So it's in Asia, it's competing with Singapore as one of those international hubs where things just come in and out. So definitely a lot of trading coming in. If there's any brewers listening right now, they might get pissed off that there's no tax at all to make beer in Hong Kong. There's no alcohol tax. We have no custom duties, and we have no VAT. So as long as someone's willing to sell something into Hong Kong, we can buy it. So we can get the freshest hops, best malt, yeast, anything. Yeah, so everything can go through Hong Kong. So definitely for beer, when you import beer, we get beer from pretty much all over the world. So breweries in Hong Kong do have a very close relationship because it's such a small city, right? It's not its own country. It's a city. It's this very special region. So we're very close with the brewers, let's say in Taiwan or in Korea, in Japan, or down in Bangkok or in Thailand, Malaysia. So it's almost that little Southeast Asia circle is almost its own country when it comes to the beer brewing. So there's a lot of connection and trade over there. Hong Kong is very close to Shenzhen. You mentioned Shenzhen; it's another city, but we do have to cross the border. A lot of people don't understand this when it comes to beer trading, meaning sending beer from Hong Kong to mainland China. It is definitely not the same country. It's two countries.
Yeah.
Sending beer from Hong Kong to China is just as hard as sending beer from Belgium or from the US to China. We have to go through the same customs. We have to go through the VAT. We have to go. Everything has to go through as if you're a different country. So there's actually no advantage. A lot of people start a company in Hong Kong thinking that we can trade beer into China easily. That's normally a very, very good excuse when they want to come party in Hong Kong. The CEOs would come over here and then say, yeah, we're going to go set up a company in Hong Kong so we can enter the China market. Yeah, that's normally a CEO excuse if they want to come party here. But yeah, so we don't do much trade into China, obviously because of the proximity and then the language. We do also have good connections in mainland China in the beer world, and it's definitely happening over there. The local breweries, I personally already lost touch on how many new breweries open every day. It's just there's a dozen of them happening every day. So so every time I go into mainland China, I do have to spend a lot of time updating myself what's going on over there.
Yeah. And of your neighbor countries, which one is the one with the most active craft scene and more, yeah, alive and kicking there? Which one are the biggest players?
That's hard to say. I mean, like definitely if you talk about history, right? Like who started first? Japan definitely was a first mover. However, the growth is challenging, right? Because of the generally the bigger brands are doing so well over there. People have a liking for big corporations and the culture. Taiwan has started for a long time. Singapore has started for a longer time, and but recently, I mean, what I keep hearing is Korea is a very fast moving market as well, and Vietnam is a very fast moving market. The guys down in Thailand, which are quite amazing. If you get to go there one time and talk to the brewers there, everyone is an active politician because they are constantly trying to change the rules to allow free brewing in the country, and it's
Okay,
really
cool.
interesting to see that much passion and heart going on. I mean, and then you look at Hong Kong, where the lazy brewers, where the licensing and everything is practically just a piece of paper.
Christopher.
Oh, we're back.
Yes,
Hi.
we're back.
I think we. Hey, good to see. Yeah, forgot where I was at, but pretty much complaining about rent here in Hong Kong. That's the only law we have.
It's very
But yeah,
expensive to
so
rent
most
property in
active
Hong Kong, of
recently.
course. Yeah. Yeah. And if you
Yeah,
look
yeah, I
to
think it's very challenging.
you we also mentioned your entrepreneurial spirit. You started a brewing shop. You also start a tap room or something.
I would definitely say not really an entrepreneurial spirit, but just uh, me loving beer a lot and trying to open things where they weren't available in Hong Kong. So we started a homebrew store because that was not available in Hong Kong. Before that, I was working in San Francisco for a while, and I was homebrewing. And in Hong Kong, there wasn't that service, there wasn't the ability to do so. So that's how we started doing it. Back then, we there wasn't any really good tap rooms in Hong Kong in 2013. So when I met some friends from the homebrewing circle, we opened a tap room together.
A
The tap
tap
room
room
was
is
called a.
also brewed there. Eh?
We don't. No. So it's we would love to brew there, but because of the rent structure, if we were to actually open a brew pub, we would be sacrificing either the brewing
Yeah.
because we would have to do a lot of sacrifice, or we would be sacrificing our arms and legs because we would not be able to feed ourselves. So it's one of those challenges. My dream is always to see a brew pub happen in Hong Kong, but being the logical thinking, it's best for both the customers and ourselves if we separate them out in this market. But yeah, we opened the in Hong Kong. It's there's always like a CBD area called Central where all the bankers, all the rich people hang out and all expats, and then they know how to party, and then they that's where all the bars are at normally. And that was the early craft beer circle. However, when we were thinking with my good friends at Young Master Rohit and then Flowtech Philip, we were thinking, hey, if we were to open a tap room in this city and to actually really make craft beer hit the culture, local culture, we need to step outside of that bubble and actually go to the heart of Hong Kong, which is Mong Kok. And that is where, that's in the Kowloon side. Outside, that's where all the local people would have to go through transport wise. That's where you will see people with the beef cleavers in the Hong Kong Triad movies. Yeah, the gold hair, gold chain, and then like somehow there's no guns. There's just like cleavers. That's the area we went to, and to started this place called the L Project. Um, I mean, I'm not sure about my partners. I had no money, so so we put just enough money to afford the place. We did not do much renovations. We had the brilliant idea of, hey, why don't we go try to paint the walls ourselves to save some money, and then it will be a fun project. We will have some cigars, maybe drink some whiskey, but once we started to realize what we thought would take 4 hours actually is a week-long project. The bathroom wasn't ready there, so it wasn't such a comfortable experience. But and then we made a mess. Like we tried to paint the walls blue, and everything became blue on the floor, and there was splashes. But it was fun. I mean, but that did to our surprise. I personally think that it was called a project, the L project, because just in case it fails, we don't have to talk about it, right? So it's just a project. But it turns out it was great. It really did hit the hearts of the Hong Kong people. And to our surprise, when we came in with craft beer in the heart of Hong Kong, we had this presumption that, hey, it's hot in Hong Kong, humid weather, people might prefer lighter beers. So let's say out of the 20 taps, we had a very balanced tap list with maybe like 4 to 5 lighter beers, and then some medium body beers, and then some IPAs, some stouts, and such, which was very, very ideal. But then we realized that no, actually, Hong Kong people are almost born to become beer geeks. After 1 month of sales, everything that was hoppy, everything that was sour, everything that was barrel aged, everything doubled the sales of our lighter beers. So week after week, we got surprised by the locals here, and to the point that this tap room ended up being a very beer geek focused tap room. And then obviously we do try to balance. Then the challenge became on how do we put in something lighter in the 20 taps so that we have a more balanced beer list, so that the non-beer geeks or people who just generally like beer can actually not get scared away from the place. So it was an exercise like that, and it's been that's been around since 2000, I think 13 or 14, I forgot, but it's been a while, and it was a great journey over there, and we were the only bar in like the 4 blocks radius, and now there's about 7 bars around the area. So not only just craft beer, but there has been bars over there, and thank God so far we have not seen any triad fights in the area, and we did not have to pay any protection money, so I'm very happy about that.
Oh, so, okay. Thank God. And that project is still on, so that's now your work. You're living there, or
my work. I spend most of my day in the brewery. Actually, my day job is to actually run the house of that gypsy, which is the brand called Carbon Brews. So my day job is as a general manager of Carbon Brews. So I run the brewery. I also help with the branding of Carbon Brews, and also work with the head brewer on recipes. Pretty much everything. The life of any small business. However, I also was fortunate enough that the owner let me rent tanks back in that place to start Heroes. So which is again my project to start my own brand there. So I also spend time there as well. But most of my time is spent running the brewery, fixing leaky hoses. Hopefully not anymore, or worrying about the mental and physical health of our brewers.
Did you also did with your brewery some collaboration projects?
Yes, we did. Fortunately, because Hong Kong is such a cool place to come party at, a lot of international brewers have come here. So we have done quite a bit of collabs. Every time we do a collaboration, something happens, and normally something funny or just what do you call it, stupid. One of the first collabs we did was with a brewery from for Heroes brand. It was a brewery from Korea, in Jeju. They're called Magpie. Really cool brewery. They were recently rated one of the best breweries in Asia. Really cool guys, and they came over and we made a Korean banana milk Hefeweizen, and then we. I can't even tell you the accident. Anyways, it was just whatever happened that resulted in 4 brewers rushing into the kettle. Everyone had a stick, and something sharp in their hand, and it just happens, and it always happens when we try to go to get dim sum during lunch. Right, so we try to let's go get some dim sum because our guest is over here. We want to treat them well, and then and then once we do dim sum, the jinx happens, and it's 100 times for 100%, never fails. Another time we did a collaboration with a really cool brewery called Moondog from Melbourne. This was with the Carbon brand. The first thing that happened when the brewers came over was the hops, they forgot it and left in the hotel. And that's how we start the day. But obviously everything went well. Hong Kong is a small place. We can get the hops. But everything got stuck that day. The larger ton was stuck. Again, we got dim sum, right? And then later on, when one of the guys tried to print out his plane ticket for his flight, our printer also got stuck permanently. As of today, our printer, after a year and a half, is still not fixed. It's still like jammed, half jammed. Ever since that collab experience, so it's a lot of fun experience. The guys from Tool came over for a beer festival. We did some collabs as well. So yeah, it's a fun place to come to Hong Kong to do, and then we always welcome international brewers to come by, reach out to us when things are better in the world, when you can travel. Because right now, if you were to do a collab in Hong Kong, you would be forced to be quarantined for 14 days, and we're actually talking about that. Some brewers are coming over. We'll be like, hey, it's great. It's the first time in our lifetime where the collab brewer can actually stay at the brewery and watch the beer finish for 14 days and not leave the brewery. So it'll be an interesting one.
Christopher, final question.
Yep.
Future-wise, what are any plans or things on your bucket list to do?
Sorry, I do have to mention this one because we're on collab. This is the one we did with Pink Boots of Hong Kong. So Pink Boots Society is the society for all the female, all the ladies who are working in the beer industry, whether they're brewers or restaurant owners or sales. And we did a Pink Boots brew together today. I mean, not today, a month ago. And today is the first day where the beer is ready to be released, and we're really excited next week. It's called Lily, and then we have the booths here ready. And this day, I would say we did not have dim sum, and everyone had a very smooth and a nice brewing day with no accidents. So, yeah, sorry, I missed your last question. What was that about?
What are any future plans and things still on your bucket list, beer-wise?
To brew, bucket list. So I have
brew
always
or to visit
wanted so breweries to visit in my bucket list. I mean, a year ago I was very fortunate to get to go visit a brewery called Frau Gruber in Germany. Our beers were being poured in Austria and Vienna, and then people keep telling me about this guy called Enzo, and I must go meet him. So I was like, oh great, okay. So I didn't know how far it was. So very nice guy called Alex drove me over there, and then finally got to see the brewery. And I've never seen all models of the hop cannon being available at the brewery, and that was a really cool experience. And I hope to visit again in the future, and this year when the again the climate is better for traveling. But for me, it's every time when I step outside of Hong Kong, I have to apologize to my wife because it ends up being a beer tour, no matter which country it is. So for me, I actually try to clear my mind, and I try not to have any brewery that I want to go see, because I know that no matter where life takes me, I will end up finding the cool breweries there, or meeting really nice people in the beer industry. And any trip I go on will be a beer trip. So yeah, so I'm just keeping my eyes open and trying not to have too much desire to say I must go see this place. Otherwise I will see 20 other places on my way getting there, and I will not have a happy personal life in that way. Yeah, but brewing wise, I do want to make a braggot, a half honey, a half beer. project. I recently did have a beer from Pohjola, from Estonia, and then it was a very, I think it's called Torm. It's a very nice honey aroma. Very fortunate we have that in Hong Kong. So I was very inspired by it. I was like, oh, actually, strong honey flavor retaining in the beer. So I do want to try to make that coming up. Yeah.
All right, Christopher Wong. Thanks for the interview, and
Yeah.
all the best to you, your brewery, and your other businesses. And see you
Thank you,
very
thank
soon.
you.
If you ever come in Belgium, let us know.
Yes. Yes,
All
I will
right.
definitely make an excuse to come over here. I will try to cancel a plane ticket in Europe, and then we'll have to take the train over. We'll do that. All right,
All right.
man. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.